Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all the praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Makakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule and teach well. Peace and safety and much blessings to the Yakim that's pushing his truth out the four corners of the earth. And our truth is sincere. and our truth is sincerity and diligence. I just want to get into the topic of, the Sabbath, the Shabbat, right? Just want to get into that real quick, because like I seen a comment, basically going into how, a Jake was saying that they were trying to make me work on the Sabbath, and, just like basically saying on the, like I'm not finna work on no Sabbath, and all this, that, and the third, which, it's like, that's how, when you first coming into this thing, that's how you feel. Like, I'm not trying to work on no Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. You over righteous and you zealous in the spirit. Because you want to be. You try to keep the laws to the best of your ability. Ones that you can't keep. And within that, you find yourself being over righteous. All right, but we in captivity. This is another captivity. In America. Under the Edomites. Okay, so. You see, the scripture tells us to obey the powers, that be, which is in I'm not going to get it, which is in Romans, I want to say the 10th chapter, I believe. Don't quote me on it. It's basically saying, you obey the powers to be, right? Pay your taxes. But don't run a red light. Whatever requirements is that you need on your vehicle, to be able to operate your vehicle in a, legal manner, do that, things like that, okay? But, we in captivity and, you're going to have to work on the Sabbath, right? You can't call out or call in every Sabbath because what? You're going to eventually get fired and lose your job, being over righteous, right? Because that's it's in the scriptures. Let me go get that. Salakia. No. Let's see. Salakia. Yeah, this is Ecclesiastes 7:16. It says, "Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself?" So don't be over righteous, man. Don't be over righteous. If you got to go to work, you have to go to work, man. Right? Yeah, it's a law. It's a law to keep the Sabbath, man. It is. It's a law to keep the Sabbath. But that's why in Judges, the 5th chapter, see, things are written aforetime was written for our learning. All right. This is Judges 5:11. It says, "They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the place of drawing waters, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of his village in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates." So it says, "They that to be delivered from the noise of the archers." So that's going into what? The missiles, right? The noise of the archers, right? And the places of drawing waters. Drawing waters represent an action of servitude, right? Being in subjection, having to do laborious work. There shall they rehearse the righteous acts. What are the righteous acts? Those are the laws. We're rehearsing right here in our land of captivity because, hey, we keeping the law to the best of our ability. Okay, so that's what you would call rehearse. All right, let's just go into it. It says, to recount, rehearse, tell again, which is in the Brown Driver Briggs definition. Okay, so to rehearse the righteous acts, man. Okay? And that's what we're doing here in America. You can't keep it 100%. You can't keep, the laws 100% because, we under this devil, man. Right? If you go to Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, and the 22nd verse, it says, if a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, which is adultery, right? Then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shall thou put away evil from Israel. But here in America, like you catch an adulterous woman, she can just divorce you. She can divorce you and take half of whatever whatever y'all had together. She can just divorce you. But she's supposed to, according to the law, the same law that tells us to keep the Sabbath, right? All right. Don't light no fires, don't do no work, But you have to work on the Sabbath. So the same law that says, look, they supposed to be put to death. And here in America, right, this is promotes adultery. And the scripture also calls this generation the wicked and adulterous generation, right? So if a man be found lying with a woman that is married to a man, and in our customs, if a man was to cease a woman, right, we know what that's going into. If she didn't yell, right, and it was good. You had to pay the dowry to the father. But if she yelled, it's because she was, espoused or married. And if, if she didn't yell and she was married, right, that woman is an adulterer, and he's an adulterer, and the both of them shall be put to death. But we can't keep that law here in America, right? Because I'm pretty sure every brother knows a woman, that's probably committed an adulterous act that needs to be put to death, according to our law. You see? But can we keep that law? No. So, you see, that's going into what? If you got to work on the Sabbath, that's going into what the handwriting of the ordinance being blotted out with the death of Yahweh Shah, right? I believe that's in 1 Corinthians. Not 1 Corinthians, Colossians. Colossians 1, or maybe 3. Probably second chapter. There it is. It says, this is Colossians 2 and 13. It says, and you being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, hath he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses. All right, blotting out the handwriting of the ordinance that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross. What was the handwritings of the ordinance? The wages of sin is death. It'd be some sins that have to be put to death for. But blotting out the handwriting of the ordinance through his death, right, gave us what? Grace. Let's go to John. John 1 and 17, it says, for the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Yahweh Shah Mashiach. And when you read Romans the 4th chapter, lets you know how his blood gave us access, or it's Romans the 4th or the 5th, expresses how his blood gave us access back to Yahweh. Okay? So working under the Sabbath falls under the grace that comes from Yahweh Shah. Okay? Now, peep this out. Let's go to Matthew, the 12th chapter. Matthew 12, start at 1. It says, and at that time, Yahweh Shah went on the Sabbath day, right, through the corn, and his disciples were hungry and began to pluck the ears of the corn and eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath, right? And the Pharisees, a lot of them was, going off, man. It was all about the law, but again, not saying that you don't keep the law, But they was basically looking at the law as that the law is what brings, righteousness and salvation. No, because when you read Romans the 10th chapter, they believed in the right. Well, they had a zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge. You know, not believing in the righteousness of the Most High, which is Yahweh. Anyway, verse 2, it says, "But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. But he said unto them, Have ye not read what David did when he was hungered, and they that were with him, how he entered into the house of the Most High, and did eat the shewbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for him neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests," right? So David ate the shewbread that was only for the priests, and that was unlawful, right? But hey, they was hungry, right? So when you go to Proverbs the 6th chapter, this is Proverbs 6 and 30, it says, Men, do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. Right? So that's going into what? Grace, man. Okay? So, basically, when Yahweh Shah answered him, right? It says, verse 5, it says, Or have ye not read in the law that how on the Sabbath day the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless? Right? So in the law, how the Sabbath days, how the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless. Right? Because in the temple, what you had work going on, you had the slaying of, beasts for sacrifices, you had the burnt offerings going. Right? Let's see if we can get some go to the commentary on it. Matthew 12. Let's go to Matthew Henry. I like to look, read, go in on him a lot. All right, so where is this? Yeah, there it is. It says, this is the commentary, Matthew Henry on Matthew 12. It's verse 5. It says, the priests in the temple did a great deal of servile work on the Sabbath, killing, flaying, burning the sacrificed beasts, which in a common case would have been profane on the Sabbath, and yet it was never reckoned any transgressions of the fourth commandment, because the temple service required and justified it. This imitates that those labors are lawful on the Sabbath day, which are necessary, not only to the support of life, but to the service of the day, as tolling a bell to call the congregation together, traveling to church, and the like. So things that you do on the Sabbath is out of necessity. Like going to work, that's out of necessity. So you can't be over righteous. You go to work. You work on the Sabbath, go to work. Now it's certain days, like the Day of Atonement, you would want to try to get off the Passover. You would want to try to get off those days. Most definitely. You know what I'm saying? Like brothers fellowship and brothers, coming together to keep the ceremony. You get off. You get off. You see, if you put in, and way in advance, okay? You see? And you got certain brothers that do work on the Day of Atonement, you see? But it's out of necessity. So David, when he took the shewbread, it was out of necessity. Okay? The priests profaning the Sabbath out of necessity, because they had to do the work in the temple, which required and is justified. Right? So check it out. It says the Sabbath rest is to promote not to hinder Sabbath worship. He justifies them by arguing three cogent ones. In this place is one greater than the temple. If the temple service would justify what the priests did in their administration, the service of Hamashiach would much more justify the disciples in what they did in their attendance upon him. The Jews had an extreme veneration for the temple, meaning like reverence for the temple, right? It sanctified the gold. Stephen was accused for blaspheming the holy place, but Hamashiach in the cornfield was greater than the temple, for in him dwelt not the presence of the Most High symbolically, but all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. Note, if whatever we do it in the name of Hamashiach, and as unto him, it shall be graciously accepted of the Most High. However, it may be censored and calibrated by caviled at by men, right? So certain things that brothers do on the Sabbath, another man might like being over righteous or look at him like, man, you going off. You working on the Sabbath. Oh yeah, man, you go to work. Not telling you can't have sex on the Sabbath. All right. When I say not telling you, meaning basically saying, I'm telling you can't have sex on the Sabbath. Like, I spoke fast. That was probably a slip of the tongue. You can't have sex on the Sabbath. Let me clear that up. Not telling you to have sex on the Sabbath. And I'm also telling you that you can't have sex on the Sabbath. All right? It's the way that sounded. Didn't sound right. But you're not supposed to have sex on the Sabbath. You defile the Sabbath when you have sex on the Sabbath. Okay? But, you to the best of your abilities, man, you keep the Sabbath to, as holy as possible, bro. If you got to work, go to work, And that's just going into what? Grace, man. Because our forefather Abraham, right? The Lord, placed his covenant, with Abraham while he was uncircumcised, right? Because let's go to Genesis the 17th chapter, the 10th verse. It says, and this is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man-child among you shall be circumcised, right? It says, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man-child in your generation. He that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in the house, he that is bought with money must need be circumcised, and my covenant shall be with your flesh for an everlasting covenant. Okay, and the uncircumcised man, child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul may be cut off from his people. He had broken my covenant. Right? So if you wasn't circumcised, the Lord felt like, hey, man, you are not of, you broke the covenant. Man, you shall be cut off. Right? But let's read Romans, the 4th chapter. Romans 4 and 11, it says, and he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of righteousness of the faith which he had yet being uncircumcised. Right? So basically going to show you that it's not about the law. Right? It's not about the law. Abraham was uncircumcised. Right? He that might be the father of all. So he might be the father of all them that believe, though they be not circumcised, that righteousness might be imputed also unto them. So, going into what? You had the Israelite foreigners. It was through faith. Righteousness came through the faith of Yahushua, okay, and not the law. All right, but this is just going. I'm just, bringing it out to the, the aspect of, it was grace. It was through the grace of the Lord, which came from Yahushua, right, that we are able, to work on the Sabbath, and be able to, not be judged after the laws that we can't keep, or be dealt with by the laws that that we've broken. Okay, not telling you can just go out and sin. or whatever. Because sin is the transgression of the law. So I'm going to read Jeremiah, and I'm going to close it. This is Jeremiah 4:4. It says, circumcise yourself. All right. So basically, if you're not circumcised, then what? You're not going to receive salvation? No, that's not true. You don't have to be circumcised to receive salvation. If you're not circumcised, you will, saying like you should look into getting done. You know what I'm saying? But that's not saying that you're not going to be delivered if you're not circumcised. So therefore, what? It's the grace of the Lord to where, this thing is about, the faith in Yahushua, man. This is a spiritual house, man. Okay? This is Jeremiah 4:4. It says, circumcise yourselves unto the Lord and take away the foreskin of your heart, right? You men of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire and burn that none can quench it because of the evil of your doing. So, if you can't get circumcised for whatever reason, it's the circumcision of your heart, man. Like how the Israelite foreigners was. It was a circumcision of the heart. It was a circumcision of the mind to do what? To be converted, to the righteous ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Okay? You see? So it was a circumcision of the heart, the mind, being washed with the word. Okay? And another example, say if we're not supposed to buy or sell on the Shabbat, correct? But look, what if, say if you need groceries, right? Groceries is high as hell, boy. So you need groceries, and say your baby mother or somebody, whoever wants to give you groceries, like, listen, you could take my card and you can go grocery shopping. But it's on the Shabbat. But it's the only day you can get these groceries because, hey, they selling these groceries. You know what I'm saying? You know how Jake do. So, but you need these groceries because, money tight, didn't really get to go to work all week because it rained. But you know what I'm saying? You need groceries. So you got children and shit, and they coming over for the weekend and you need them groceries, but you ain't got the money for it. And it's the Shabbat and they want to give you the groceries when it's the only day you can get it. Man, go get your groceries, man. Don't be over righteous. You got to work on the Shabbat, go work. Go to work. You see? This is what Yahushua is for, man, to make us blameless and without spot. You see? Because there's no condemnation to those that are in Hamashiach, man. Right? Like I said, it's not telling you that you can have sex on the Sabbath. Not telling you can just, okay, well, shit, we under grace, you know what I mean? We could just, it is what it is. Nah. No. You supposed to, use grace, accordingly, man. So with that, man, Lord willing, you edify Shalom.